Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ruby Summer Rose Court. To recap where we left off last time, we finally met up with Blake again after a month of her absence, and we went through this very intimate and emotional loyalty mission where we sided with her over Roman, and I think this is the day right after that, and now we're back in the chamber with Weiss. The moment Osmond returns from patrolling and rebuilding the ley lines, he immediately calls an emergency meeting with my court members and me. So where do we stand now? Roman and the ones loyal to him packed up and walked off into the desert. So it wasn't just a bluff, they actually did just leave. That's crazy. If we're lucky, maybe he'll distract the Grimm for a few days. Oh my god. We might actually be better off. At least the troops for Mishglass and Spiritus Bellatorum won't get drunk on duty. A fair point. As an exile, I can't hire more soldiers for Mishglass, but at the very least I can send notice to my father. If luck is on our side, he may be able to send aid. Captain Nikos? I can reassign some of my troops to fill the gaps in our defenses. More than a few refugee civilians have also expressed interest in joining the Guard. Oh, that's awesome. So long as you have the resources to train them. We do. The monks are sending reinforcements as we speak. Ruby getting the team back together. This is cool. Thanks. We should be fine, especially if we can get the Katafaunus to help. Heck, kicking Torchwick to the curb will probably make that alliance even easier. If you let Yang use him as a dragon chew toy, that might seal the deal overnight. I spun her in unexpected laughter, causing the rest of the room to look strangely at me. I'm sorry. Crescent Rose made a joke. And where is Counselor Belladonna? Resting in my room. She's still really shaken up after last night. Of course, that's perfectly understandable. If she's well enough to see visitors, I would very much like to see her. Sure, I think she'd like that. I look across the table at Weiss, aware that this is the first time we've spoken since that day we argued. I can tell she's thinking the same thing. Yang is still out on patrol with half of my knights. I'll reach out to her and see if we can't bring them home a little early. Thank you, Cershni. There's some conversation after that, but not much. I watch as my court disperses. Glinda sets up a cleanup crew for the fire in the menagerie. I feel a flash of guilt at giving her this on top of everything she already has to handle. That's true, Glinda works really hard in this game. Wake up! I sit up straight in bed, heart hammering at the shout. Up! Up! I'm up! I'm up! Glancing outside the window, I can see it's almost dawn. The faintest rays of sunlight are beginning to rise over the horizon. What is it? An attack? Getting to my feet, I rub my eyes, struggling to stay alert. Not yet, but I can sense the foul darkness congregating along the veins of my power. You mean the ley lines? Yes, my little Rose. You must speak with the old man. Very briefly, I think about how strange this all is, that I'm getting used to the voice in my head, the presence that is always there, except when it isn't. Okay, I will. Why do you want to talk to Ozpin? In the Golden Age, there were schools of architects and engineers. Men who built and sustained. Now there is only him, and the arts are lost. He's doing his best. The ley lines are a mystery to most of us, but he spent his whole life studying them. Once the power was transferred over to me, he ran right back to those duties. Solid point. A brief pause. I can sense Crescent's indignation, boiling up and tensing in preparation for an outburst. But then she relents. That may be true. The holes in my memory are too vast for me to pretend I understand this any better than you do. Shocked, I wait for something else, more instructions. Crescent remains silent, however, after her surprising openness. Shaking my head, I get a castle guard and order her to summon Ozpin and Glinda. We meet in my bedroom, the map open on my desk. Sershni is in the forest on patrol right now. We ought to convene with her, see if she's heard anything. Then we can focus on the ley lines. Crescent Rose says there are certain points that need fortification more than others. She'll lead us to them. Then... well, she hasn't told me yet what she's planning to do, but it seemed like she had an idea. Isn't her power limited to the castle? It is, well, most of it anyway, but she can still talk to me when I'm out and about. Ozpin looks uncomfortable. You do know if we do this, it might mean she can control your body again? And this time we won't be able to confine her to the castle. You do know that the Grimm are gathering up for another assault, bigger than the one on the city? Fair point. Rock in a hard place. Maybe doing this isn't the right thing, but it's the only thing that can give us a chance. So our choices are to continue on as we have, or rebuild the ley lines and get Crescent Rose back to her full power. I remember what Glinda told me before, the day of my first throne power lessons, about allowing Crescent Rose to use me. I don't think either of us realized how literal that would be. I don't know if we can trust Crescent, but Glinda's right. The power of Lanzawa convinced me. And I'm allegedly stronger than her, so... we have to try. We have no choice. I'll make it work. These all point to the same conclusion, but they're just different lines of thinking. We have to try. At least if this all fails, we'll know we did everything we could. Ozpin puts a hand on my shoulder, the touch comforting. For once, Crescent doesn't rear her head at the contact, and there is no refuting sting or rebuttal. Ozpin rolls up the map, tapping it decisively on the desk. Then we'll leave at once and heed Crescent's warning. Let's go. It takes us 2 days to reach our destination. By the time we reach the tree line, the sun is high up above. Blake insists on coming, citing a desire to see Sir Shni again. I wonder if there's like a low-key romance blossoming between them two. Who knows? Jean and Piero ride ahead, keeping a careful watch for any trouble, and keeping each other company. Yang strays near them, occasionally throwing in a comment, but otherwise just listening to them. Snatches of their conversation reach my ears. Piero tells him about the training she's done, and I smile as Jean relays a tale from his home. Looking around, I search for any sign of Weiss. Did Weiss say where they'd be? I sent a message ahead of time, but... Shh. We come to a halt, all looking to Nora. She cups her hands around her ears, turning slowly. Oh my god, it's like a radar dish. Then her hand snaps out, finger pointing. Over there! I can hear them jangling. Jangling. As if summoned, Sershni appears, hand raised to push a branch out of her way. When she sees me, she stiffens, then bows. Your Majesty? Weiss. A flit of emotion crosses her face before she greets the others as well. She's still really cautious of us. Her voice... oh, this hurts. Her voice softens considerably when she sees Blake. And she smiles. You're looking well, Counselor. Thanks, Weiss. I'm in good company. Oh, I'm fine, Sershni. Thanks for asking. Sandgnat, you weren't the one who almost perished in a dust explosion. Hey, you don't know that. Maybe there was another one. Oh god, being jealous doesn't suit you. Then she jumps straight to business. I believe we found the focal point of the ley line. My people are waiting for us there. No one's been afflicted by the grim plague among us, but the same can't be said for the villages we've passed by. We've also been getting strong sense of being watched. Crescent said that there was darkness gathering around the ley lines. Maybe it's the Grimm plotting around the ley line. You've been talking with it. She keeps her voice flat, and I swallow hard, trying not to wince at the sudden pang in my chest. Right, I didn't say this the first time it came up, but like, the way Ruby handled Crescent's, when Crescent was misgendered, you know, with pronouns, you know, like Ruby just like said her, like very calmly, not angry, and it was just like a nice touch to this game. Obviously, Summer Rose Court has been weaving in elements of LGBT representation, characters that go by they, them pronouns, and it's done in a way that feels really organic. I'm not really the one that feels like, as soon as I see a character with they, them, like, I'm not the kind of person that says, oh my god, that's like so forced. Like, I know some people are like that, but like, when I see it, it just feels so natural, and like, I don't really question it, so. But, we see Weiss misgendering Crescent right now. Should have expected it, really. Yeah, and then Ruby calmly, says the correct pronoun. Yeah, since she's awake now, all strength leaves my legs, and for a moment I'm blinking away red. They're here, now! Okay. Bewildered, I glance about, looking for telltale flashes of black and white amidst the trees. Your Majesty, what? A loud explosion interrupts her, draining the blood from her face. Almost as one, we kick our mounts into action, while Weiss spins on her heel and sings a quick note, a glyph throwing her forward. Blake darts forward, leaving nothing but fast-fading shadows. Nora and Ren sprint ahead too. Ruby, let me help. How? There's no time to explain, just trust me. Trust her or refuse? Okay. Crescent might have proven herself to be very suspicious and even dangerous at the beginning, but I feel like she's proven herself to be actually loyal, and she does care about Ruby. So I'm gonna go with trust her. Hopefully this is the right decision. Fine, but don't hurt the knights. Fine. There's the now familiar sense of Crescent Rose rising, taking hold of my body and calling up our power. I feel it in the land around us too, fading fast once we let go. There. She sounds drained. Crescent Rose? This vein is blocked up. There was only a little power to call here. The rest is up to the knights and you. Alright, thank you. When we finally reach the clearing, I'm relieved to find the knights holding their own. About 24 Grimm litter the forest's floor, their lifeless bodies pinned by thorny vines. But the battle isn't over yet. Weiss stands between a feebly stirring Agravain and several heavily armored Ursa, a wild light to her face as she thrusts her sword through one and blasts another away. Yang follows it to the ground, swinging her fists until it stops struggling. Nora crushes a Grimm's paw, leaving it open for Ren to slice his blade across its throat. It reels and with another hammer blow, dies. Blake darts throughout the battlefield, giving the knights precious seconds to regain their footing when they need it. Jean hangs back a bit, directing the rest of my guard to the places where they'll do the most good. Nice. I don't even see Pura leave my side, but when I look, she's on the other side of the clearing, every movement connected seamlessly as she cuts down her opponents. I'm in the middle of a swing when an ill feeling settles in my stomach. The urge to run rises, but I grit my teeth and continue Littlethorn's path. Is something coming? Another one is coming. A very old one. An alpha? Where? From beneath. Oh no. Senses directed downward, I can feel the grim with Crescent's power. It's rising fast, a snarl of wrongness in the earth heading towards... Weiss? I whirl about. Oh, Weiss, get back! In a blur of white and black, it seizes her, metal protesting in loud shrieks as it bites down. Black droplets splatter on fallen leaves as the grim rises up and up, shaking her in its jaws. Weiss! It's flying off with her. Someone shoot it down. It can fly? Not only is it, like, capable of burrowing in the ground, it can fly? Oh my god. Snarling from pain and fury, Weiss frees an arm and slaps her palm against the grim. As it squeals, she sings two notes that soar above all other noise. Ice grows in an instant from her hand, piercing through its wings. The grim drops her and slithers away into the trees, shredded limbs not slowing it down in the slightest. A dozen rattling quills flick from its tail as the beast flees. They fly out quicker than a volley of arrows, scattering our forces. Several people go down, riddled with the barbs. Groaning in pain, I see more than a few begin to retch up black fluid, the first sign of the new grim sickness infecting my people. What kind of grim does that? Is it an alpha? No, but it's very old and very powerful. Doubtless this is the source of the pestilence harming your subjects. Now this is the line that I was just talking about. Like, Crescent used to say that everything belonged to her, that she was the one in charge. And now she's come to a point where she recognizes that she's equal rulers with Ruby, and not referring to the citizens of the Kingdom of Beacon as her own subjects, but Ruby's subjects. So, like, by choosing to accept Crescent's help, I hope we made the right choice, and I feel like this line certainly backs that up. Leveling my glaive in front of me, I run over to Weiss and help her up. Weiss, did it get through your armor? Scratch you? Bite you? No. Watch your back! She shoulders me to the side, striking out with her sword. Another grim goes down, caught trying to pounce on me in my moment of distraction. It drops unceremoniously to the ground, and Weiss falls to her knees, a pained grunt. Are there more? No, I think that was the last of them. The rest ran away. Including the scummy one that's making everyone sick. Weiss looks pale. Sweat gathers on her brow as her sword drops from a slack grip, and that's when I realize something is terribly, terribly wrong. Your Majesty, we can focus about that later. Are you all right? Her head nods, and she almost slumps over. Quickly, I kneel next to her, trying to keep her upright. Worry more about yourself. I pull her hand away from her chest and regret it immediately. Oh no. Black pitch clings to her armor and her wounds, mixing with the unmistakable scent of blood. Oh my god. Holding on to Weiss as her body grows heavier and limp, I desperately scan about for help. Glinda! Glinda! She's at my side in a flash. The frown perpetually on her face only deepens at the sight of Weiss. The night is turned aside, retching up globs of inky sickness. She's been infected like the others. She passes a palm over the puncture wound. But my healing magic isn't working. Sershni, is your power canceling out mine? I don't think... I'm sorry. It's getting very hard to speak. Furious, I resist the urge to slam my fists on Weiss's breastplate. You said it didn't bite you! Panting and pale, Weiss doesn't break eye contact with me. Then, with a shaky grin, she winks. I lied. Oh, Weiss, why? What? No! I shake my head, mind racing for something, anything I can do. Glinda said she couldn't but Crescent? If we tapped into the ley line nearby... Could I purge her of this blight? Possibly. What do I have to do? You have to reach for my power within the land and bring it out of slumber. Can you be a little less abstract? It's instinctive for me, difficult to explain. Ask Lanzahua and Magenhild's chosen if you have trouble. Right. I look up and find Nora already crouched beside me, concern written all over her face. Ren stands at her other shoulder. You look like you were talking really seriously with Crescent Rose. Did you two come up with a plan? Reopen the ley line and use that power to heal Weiss. Somehow. Well, maybe. Like, it should go after anything Grimmy by itself. Grimmy? Please, Nora. Grimmy? Grim-ish? Grim-like? Pertaining to the Grim? Got it. God, I love her. She's... Oh, Nora. So long as you give it initial guidance, body and soul should both respond, I think. How would I, though? Maybe like swinging your weapon, seeing it as an extension of you, and then going from there? We've never dealt with anything like this. Sorry, Ruby. It's okay. Just watch over me and stop me if it looks like I'm about to explode. I would not allow such a thing to happen. Just an expression. Alright. I turn my attention inward and reach for Crescent, drawing on her power. To my relief, there's a responding echo in the land. I try to grasp that too, and in a heartbeat I'm flooded with energy. Crescent laughs, a note of pride about her. That's the way, little Rose. Now set your hands over Sershni's wounds. Opening my eyes, I find Weiss lit by a soft pinkish light, then realize the lights are coming from me. That's it. The pitch shrinks under the light, but some remains. It muddies the blood still oozing from her wounds. I push for power, but as my vision starts to blur, I'm forced to stop. I don't understand. Why? There's too much for you to heal, little Rose. I imagine she was already injured before she was bitten. We should get her to Mertonnaster. It's her only chance now. Then let's go. Now. I look to Glinda, who crosses her arms with a cold, stolid expression. Rose, I must stay here and tend to the other wounded. It's obvious Sershni is beyond my aid, in any case. Looking around, I see Lancelin hurrying toward us, and I rise to meet them. I need help, please. It's Weiss. Lancelin nods, bending down and carrying Weiss in both arms without another question. I don't even pause to explain to the rest where we are going, getting on my mount and tearing away with Lancelin not far behind. Oh no. I hope I didn't mess this up. I really hope I didn't. We ride hard. No one gets much rest when we finally stop for sleep, the moon hanging above our heads. Weiss, how are you feeling? Better, Your Majesty. Thank you. Forgive me for sitting in your presence. You should be resting, you know. I settle down next to her on her bedroll, if only to make it a little easier on her neck. I am rested, better than I thought I would be. I give her a look. Better than expected, isn't that much better, Weiss? She shakes her head, drawing one hand up to her chest. I know I should be worse. I've seen it, you know. So many people would be lost to fever at this point. There's a chance for me, isn't there? Yes, Crescent said if we get you home, it's best for you. She, didn't really say how it would help, though. I worry at my lip, thinking she might take issue with that, but she only nods. I do feel like something's calling me in the direction we've been going. She smiles wryly. I suppose it could be homesickness, but that's an alien sensation to me. You don't miss Mishglas? I miss my sister. That's surprising. You never talk about her. Because I'm needed here. I want to be here, Everything else would just be a distraction. A guarded look rises on her face, her nerves betrayed by the tension clinging to her jaw. We're both silent for a long moment, and I try to think of what to say. Eventually, I reach out, laying my hand on hers. Her eyes widen, but she doesn't brush it off, letting me leave it there while I speak. I talked to Lancelin when you were away patrolling. Avoiding you mean? Oh. Yes. There's no shame in what you did on the roof, Weiss. I wasn't myself, and you had to act in response. Oh, and we've worked things out, me and Crescent, so you won't have to worry about having to do that again. You talked to it? Her! I talked to her, yeah. A very nice moment. Just in the way that Ruby handles it. It's really reassuring. So the matter is resolved, you say. It's a work in progress. So please, can't we try and work this out? This thing between you and me? Amusement flicks across her face before fading to solemnity. If you say that, Your Majesty, my plane's ways aren't easily forgotten. We have to remember our places. You put them aside for Lancelin. You don't ask them to lower themselves to the other knights. Of course not, but this and that, they're two different things. She trails off, eyes falling to the space between us. So we have a romantic option, be sincere. With a heart, we can tease her or scold her. Definitely not scold her. And I do love me some White Rose, but in another playthrough, so we'll just tease her for now. I'm not asking you to forget I'm queen. We met because of that. It'd be like forgetting you're terrible with emotions. Hey! But please don't forget that it's just a title, and there's a name after it. You have a Borbatusk's grace when delivering a point. I thought Mishglass people liked bluntness. We appreciate it greatly, but it doesn't entirely mitigate the sting of chastisement. She shakes her head when I open my mouth to apologize, a small smile on her face. To my surprise, she grabs her sword from her side and presents it to me. Not missing the implication, I say the first words that come to mind. Is this going to blow up in my face again? That face, though, oh my god, it's perfect. No, first of all, that was Agravain's idea. The exploding hilt, I would have never guessed. Yes, he was insufferably smug about its successful use. Second of all, this is a new hilt. I'm unable to resist teasing. With a new inlay of dust. Well, yes. But look, it's not going to activate, so are you going to accept it, or will you refuse? Laughing quietly, I wrap my hand around the hilt. I swear an oath to be loyal to you. A knight of Mishglass no longer, but yours. That was really sweet. Weiss needs me to help her sheath her sword, too weak to bear its weight any longer. All the excitement leaves her drained again, and her grip on my hand goes a little slack. Please don't leave, Ruby. You've given me so much, I dare not ask for more. But please, stay until I fall asleep. I'm not going anywhere. She murmurs her thanks and then crawls a little closer, resting her head on my lap. Stroking a hand through her hair, I stay with her until it's time for us to move on. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, Weiss, I hope you're okay. The next day, we arrive at the minor portals. Weiss is riding with me, still a little pale, but she insists on dismounting by herself before looking expectantly towards me. Crescent? She'll have to journey over and be healed by her sister. That should suffice. I relay this to Weiss, who nods and heads to Myrtonaster along with Lancelin. The knight supports her with an arm around her waist, and together they limp through the portal. Readying myself to run after them, I go stumbling down to hands and knees as Crescent Rose bears down on me. No! I collapse onto my hands and knees, knocked breathless. Not yet. Not until Myrtonaster's intentions towards us are made clear. Come on, Crescent, is now really the time? We can't trust the other spirits, Ruby. But we especially can't trust Myrtonaster. Whatever her intent, she can't be worse than the spirit who murdered my parents. Let me through. I said I'd stay with her. I'm not letting her go alone. Again, I feel incredible resistance, like someone dragging me physically back from the portal. Crescent doesn't take full control of my body, not like last time, but she comes very close. Myrtonaster may very well be the one who did it. You have to understand, Lunafracta wasn't always our enemy. It's been so long, alliances might have changed once more. And Myrtonaster never liked me to begin with. So why not attack me when I went through before I was connected to you? I was weaker then. And so was she. Her awakening was linked with mine. Please, Ruby, just once. Just trust me. I'm trying to keep you safe. I'm left alone, hands empty. Exhaustion hits me suddenly. On trembling knees, I slowly sink down onto the ground and sit in front of the portal, awaiting her return. For the next few days, I wait. Since I refuse to return to the castle, my court comes to me. Hey, how you feeling? Hearing a familiar voice makes me perk up. Getting up from my seat, I stretch and turn around to wave at Ren and Nora. Tired. They tried to set me up with a room, but I can't rest easy when the portal is out of my sight. You shouldn't worry so much. That was a good healing you did, especially for your first try. Pity it drains you so much, though. No one else's healing magic is nearly as effective. Maybe when we fix all the ley lines, that will give Crescent enough power to draw on to purge everyone? Nora shakes her head, her certainty surprising me. Magic of that scale would be incredibly dangerous. You can only handle so much at one time before it starts hurting you. Practice should make it easier, but in the end, there's a limit. What if I only did one person at a time? Maybe, but if you healed one person, others would want to be healed right away, and with the current situation, it'd be an endless line that never grows any shorter. I'm sorry. Eventually, the portal hums to life. Alarmed and excited, I strain to see who comes through. It isn't Weiss, but Lancelin. They bow when they approach and hand me a letter. A message from Sir Schnee, Your Majesty. What? Where's Weiss? In her childhood home, Your Majesty. I was not allowed to escort her. Since I am still in exile, I wasn't allowed any further than the portals. They smirk at me, the expression mirthless and angry. And I have no powerful family to waive the rules for me. Dazed, I nod, unfolding it as they step back a polite distance. Ruby, the moment my sister saw me, she insisted that we return to our home at once. She told me briefly about our family's history with Myrtonaster, how it protects us, not unlike Crescent Rose. I wish I could share more, but there is so much that I do not trust to put to paper, too much that can wind up in the wrong hands. The taint is sunk too deep in me for purging, and with Myrtonaster currently broken, my sister's words, I'm forced to stay here for Myrtonaster's power to help me at all. If I leave right now, I'll die. Forgive me. I wish things had turned out differently. Heart heavy, I turn to the next sheet. Show this to my knights once you've read this. It is my request that they stay with you, Ruby, Queen of the Summer Rose Court, until you no longer require their services. We can't afford to be further divided now. Stay strong, all of you. I look up from the page, my gaze slowly returning to the empty, quiet portal. She's not coming back? Shaking my head, I hand Lancelin back the letter, fighting to stay upright. Did you know about this, Crescent? Did you know she'd have to leave? Would you rather she died, little Rose? It's all we could have done at that point. And now she's gone. You might be able to go visit her. Not right now. I doubt Merchant Aster will be very pleased that this happened to one of her people under our watch, but you've not lost her forever. I close my eyes, trying to keep all of my emotions under control. So why does it feel like I have? Let's go back. I don't think I can stay here any longer. And with one last look at the portal, I turn and walk away. Oh man. This is... After the very swift resolution with Blake's loyalty mission, I kind of expected the same thing with Weiss, and I didn't get the same thing. You know, at least we have Crescent's optimism, but I'm just really afraid. I don't want to lose Weiss. I really hope she's okay. Oh man. I care about these characters so much, it hurts. And that small scene with Weiss, you know, swearing her loyalty to Ruby again, that was so beautiful. Under the starry skies and in the presence of each other's company. Ah, man. Okay, I don't want to get all weepy and sad for like the next 2 minutes, so I'm gonna stop it right there, but that's where my head's at right now. Anyways, I think this is a good place to take a break, because I just feel like we've completed a very nice segment of the narrative. Yeah, I really am curious to see whether Weiss will come back to us, because, you know, we need her in the fight against the Grimm, and also Ruby and her knights, we need her. Hopefully, we'll figure that out in the coming episodes. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on the next episode of Ruby Summer Rose Court. Until then.
You so fucking precious when you smile. Yeah. Girl, I lose myself up in those eyes.